You have that feeling, maybe you had it yesterday night, when you go to a restaurant and at the end of a big meal, somebody comes and says, do you still have room for dessert? I'm dessert. So I hope you still have some room for dessert today. Dessert today is platform. So as Christina said, platform makes this entire life cycle happening. We built it across the last 20+ years, and in the last few years, we gave it an extra flavor of cloud. But everything that we built is at the fabric of what you've seen so far. And today, we're making this even better. So I'm going to talk about 5 things on this dessert menu. Number 1, we're talking about GenAI service. We are enabling GenAI service at the platform level. Why at the platform level? At the platform level, because everything at Guidewire starts with platform. What we build, the application, are built on the top of the same platform that you guys are using. Everything from the ground up, when everything was conceived from the first day, was a platform for the industry. And today is still the leading platform from the industry, and starting this week is coming with GenAI service. And when we think about GenAI service and platform, we think about enabling everywhere and for everyone, in every task, at every service, for every application, and most important, from every stakeholder. So last year at Connection, we start to introduce some aspect of this platform. We build it brick by brick. Mike said, we don't know it all. If somebody tells you that he knows it all, he's lying. So at every step, we learn an extra piece. So we start with what we call AI Connect. That was a way to expose different model and to make sure that our customer could use it in a secure way. If you don't know, those are all the different icons of the different model available today via AI Connect. And then we start building some assistant. You've seen a couple of them. You've seen a claim summary assistant, and you've seen underwriting assistant. And when we were doing that, we realized that the best way to do that is through an agentic framework, leveraging what we call MCP server and context. So we talked about context. What is context? Context, we think that is the step that is the secret sauce, what makes the combination of model in the context of a Guidewire system relevant. You need knowledge base, because the way that an insurance claim works and the different steps is part of what we call knowledge base. You need tools. You need to know how to interact with IS, how the API structure works. And then you need to fine-tune prompt to make sure that all this kind of end up into an assistant or into an agent that is working for your initial requirement. So, as I said, we built few of them. You've seen a couple of them. Let's imagine now that we want to build one on stage in a few seconds. We want to build what we call a CSR assistant that is leveraging policy, accessing specific LLM, and we get all this done in a few seconds. So to do that, Val, one of the engineers at the platform level, is just joined me on stage, and we can jump directly into what we call Agent Studio. I'm turning here because this screen is so cool that I want to see the demo of the product by looking there rather than looking on this small screen where I cannot see much anymore. So here's this Guidewire Cloud Home you must be familiar with, and we go to this menu, and we jumped into Agent Studio. Here you can see the couple of agents that we've been working on for this demo, but we jump directly into create a new one. And the first thing, we define a name, CSR agent. We pick a model, is what I said a second ago. We picked one model. In this case, we take the latest and greatest, and we select some knowledge base. Guidewire comes with out-of-the-box insurance glossary. And because of the acquisition, we're going to enable very quickly also the Pro Navigator. But for this demo that we've been working on, that acquisition was announced yesterday night, so very few of us were aware of this. For sure, not the engineers team was not aware. So we could not do this demo all the way there, but let's go back. So we add the standard out-of-the-box glossary. And then next step, we select some tools. For this demo, we want to access Policy Center. So we are selecting all the tools that are provided into this screen. We add them, and then we have added this capability to auto-generate a sort of out-of-the-box prompt that enable us to interact with Policy Center. So Val here clicks Generate. As I said, this is the out-of-the-box prompt that is derived from the tooling and from the MCP server. And then we can directly jump into use it. So let's see, find me Ray Newton policy. The system is going to kind of complained that we need a two-way to identify the policy number, so we're going to add the last 4 digits of the policy. And I think kind of magically, the system comes back with those information. You actually don't need to know how to use Policy Center. The next things that you want to see is like, OK, now I want to continue this conversation. I want to list me all the vehicle. So let's go, which vehicle are attached to this policy? And the system is working on, and it comes back with the car that is attached to the policy. And so now let's continue that and saying, is this car has been in any kind of accident in the recent time? And of course, the system now comes back and says, I cannot access this information. So let's do this live. Let's go back on the MCP server. Let's look at the tools available for claims. Let's pick the last one, search claim by vehicle and license plate. We add this, and let's try it again. Again, this has been done live. There is nothing here that is being pre-staged. It's asking, again, the same question, and you will see that it's coming back with all the list of accidents that this car, this vehicle, has been involved with. I found it as a miracle. Mike talked about the miracle. I think this is a miracle. Again, even people that don't know how to use Policy Center nor Claim Center can interact with the system. Speaking of interaction with system, Val, how is different to interact with prompt and not only with code those days?
Well, this is just another tool for us to master. We learn to code now, we learn to prompt. And let me show what I mean. So I'm going to tweak the prompt to instruct the AI to add a footnote to every its message, showing policy number and a customer's name for CSR context. And by the way, because of you, Diego, I'll ask it to respond in Italian.
Oh, thank you. OK, so
yeah.
Let's ask the question again. Let's see what is coming back.
Yeah, let's ask it again.
And again, the change and the tweak of the prompt was done live. We ask again the same question. And as you will see, the system comes back in Italian and is going to append the Ray Newton's policy and the number of the policy at the end of the query. Again, this is miracle. Imagine how effective this could be also, and how much is going to be more efficient when you need to sort of translate application and interact with an application at different level in different country. So we are going to use the same technology that we have shown right now, Agent Studio. The team is using that to bring together, across the next 3 releases, a combination of 50 agents and tools across different areas, for developers, at the platform level, for underwriter, for claims. Everywhere you're going to see 50 of those coming together across the next 3 releases. And since Val is still here, let me show you one more. So you've seen 2 of them before with Connie and Christina, leveraging intake and leveraging claim summarization. And so since Val is still here, let's look at what we call coverage assessment that is going to become available in the recent future. So if we jump back to the demo, you're going to see the same screen that Connie has been working before, the Smart Claim Overview, that now comes with an extra button. That extra button is indeed Assess Coverage. And upon clicking that button, you're going to validate if the coverage for which the claim is being opened, if it's covered for that specific claim. Again, this also shows you a slightly different way to expose AI capability, not only through a chat window, but also directly embedded to the transactional application. So number 1, Gen AI. Thank you, Val. Number 2, to adopt those things, to be able to use this innovation, to be able to take advantage of everything that we're bringing almost every 4 months now, we wanted to make migration faster. And so we'll be spending some time on that. As you know, we have been master what we call the technical upgrade process, helping all of you to move to cloud. But now we're going to do something more. We're trying to get you migration ready. How do we do that? So first of all, as said, we now have a set of steps that our service team and in general our partner are capable to take to move you to the cloud. The new things we're doing now, we're trying to sort of connect IS10 customer to our cloud instance, if you're running one of those 3 code repositories, and synchronize your code into Guidewire Cloud. upon syncing, we are going to be able now, leveraging GenAI and leveraging Agent Studio and different studios that we're building, we're going to be able to automate some of the validation and some of those steps. And this will result into a migration report. That is going to be, we think, game-changing. You don't need to make a decision about moving to the cloud, and then after the decision, you get into discovery phase of how far you are from adopting and to move. But you're in a situation in which you have those information ahead of making the decision. So if you're running IS10 across the next 12 months, we're going to enable any customer that is interested in taking up on this offer. We're going to generate those reports, and we're going to keep those reports up to date at every release. So you always will know, across the timeline, you will always know how far you are and how difficult or complex moving to the cloud will be. So service, faster to adopt, faster to migrate, and I tripped a little bit here, and that easier to adopt. Once you move to the cloud, we want you to adopt all the new capability that we've been introducing across the last few years. The count as of today is 1,600, and within a couple of weeks, once we launch Lolos, will be 1,828. Myself and Mike like round numbers, so we want to have this number 2,000. We try to squeeze it as much as possible, but there was no way. So I think for 2,000, we need to wait for the P release. But how do we enable you to adopt all those new capability? How do we accelerate adoption? Because again, we wanted to use the latest and greatest. And to use the latest and greatest, the gatekeeper to the new capability is APD. APD is at the center of adopting any of this transformation of this new capability that we're launching across the years. Christina talked about Pricing Center. Pricing Center runs now on GWCP. It runs inside the infrastructure. And as you have seen, a great accelerator of the adoption of Pricing Center is our capability to natively integrate with APD. APD is at the core of digital. APD is at the core of building new integration. So if you guys are building a new product starting tomorrow, you build it on APD. But if you are an existing customer with an existing line and you're facing this dilemma of, should I continue to leverage the product as it is, or should I embark in a transformation that is predominantly, or at least until today, was predominantly manual, and with Lolos is becoming heavily automated. We are introducing what we call APD conversion to automate the process from 12 months to 6 weeks. This is going to completely change the entire adoptability of all the new capability that we've been introducing across the year. So if you have not started an APD project, I suggest you to start an APD project. Here we have Eric from Devalle, that is one of the early access customer of leveraging APD adoption. And I will not read the full quote, but basically saying, it's great, it's cool, and you should use it. So again, service, faster migration, helping you on adoption, but Mike talked about developer productivity. We want to continue to make simpler development for our entire ecosystem. The goal is always do more, make it quicker, do more things. Today, we enable self-service developer to self-service deploy more than 5,000 per week. 5,000 deployment per week is mesmerizing. You know, a few years ago, we had few customers. Now we have 5,000 deployment per week. Is great. But although great platform and 5,000 is a good number, if you look at this slide, you get a little bit of the sense of everything that we want to continue to make better. We want to make easier configuration. We want to make it easier to extend. We wanted to increase developer productivity. We wanted to do a lot of those stuff, continuously innovate. And to do that, this year, around mid of last year, we introduced what we call Alpine Mode. That beside me forcing any kind of ski analogy into the company as much as I can, was a way to sort of convey the message that we have multiple new capability tailored for developers to do their job in a more efficient way. We introduce more visual modeler, not only APD for modeling, but also for rules. We've introduced an object editor that allows you to modify schema and to customize schema. We changed completely the way that we package software that is going to enable a way that is going to accelerate marketplace down the road. We introduced Guidewire function. And with all those, we are finally delivering 3 developer assistant for helping our customers to more efficiently leverage GenAI for building code on Gosu, building integration, and building digital. As you could imagine, I could spend probably another hour in going through all those elements of Alpine. And so instead of doing that, we introduced a couple of years ago a new conference that we call Dev Summit that this year in May is going to count more than 3,000 developers. So if you're interested in learning more about everything that we're doing for the developer community, I'll suggest that you send your developers, if you're a partner, your engineers to this event that is going to be centered and focused on Alpine Mode and all those new capabilities. This brings me to one more thing, that is better digital. Mike said that he stole the thunder. I was able to keep this mini thunder just for the end. Digital, there was a slide before with Christina that she showed all the 9 experience template out of the box to accelerate adoption of digital and to accelerate building digital apps. Those are the 9. Last year on this stage, we introduced a progress on the digital platform on JDP. We launched a couple of those templates, and then we said we're going to complete our journey across the next few releases. The journey was completed in Niseko. And so today, it's great. We have those 9 templates. You can go from APIs to user experience and build those in an efficient way. But we wanted to make this better. As I said, we never stop. We have an ambition to make things continuously better. So if you're really a long-time user of Guidewire, you know that developing what we call historically PCF page and digital happen in 2 separate worlds. And so you build those pages, and then you build digital. This is 2 separate things. We talked on this stage for many years about natively digital, to make Guidewire natively digital. And we did a lot of steps in that direction. But there was a couple of things that were still missing. What is very special about Guidewire? I always think in terms of when a company is successful, spend a little bit of time to try to understand what is, at the essence, the most special things. And I think one of the most special things was what we call here this dynamic UI generation. What is it? It's basically our capability to infer the UI from the data structure, from the data model. If you've been using Guidewire and you get used to that capability, it's pretty magical, because you can get into an up and running page very quickly. So from the very beginning, the goal was, can we make this the DNA of Guidewire? Can we enable the DNA of Guidewire also through digital and make it transform everything in such a way that this special capability is available across? And we think that we can. And so today we want to introduce what we call Jutro Studio, that is going to enable exactly that capability that everybody is accustomed to into our platform. To make that happening, across the last 2 years, I had to build a team of the brightest and the smartest developers that have been in Guidewire. And I'm honored to have a couple of them with me on stage today, Fiona and Kirsten, that are going to help me out to show you what some of the marketing team told. This demo is complex. People will not get it. So let me try to make it as easy as possible and eventually boil it down to a couple of critical things that I want to make sure that you will extract from the demo. So let's jump into the demo. And so this is one of the out-of-the-box template that I discussed before. Is Personal Auto, is one of the one available with since Niseko. So Fiona is filling that up. And now let's imagine that you want to expose a field that you are aware that is available in the data model. And so in the past, to do that at the digital level was extra steps in the API, maybe something was available at the SDK level. But now let's switch to Kirsten's screen, that is Jutro Studio. This is the first time you're seeing Jutro Studio. Again, I can spend an entire hour to show you all the features that are here, but instead we jump directly on enabling this field that is called affinity. So Fiona, explain us a little bit how special this is and what Kirsten is doing.
Jutro Studio is familiar and it's easy. So I've been at Guidewire for 18 years, and in that time, I have built many a UI using PCFs. Now, Jutro Studio gives me that same developer experience, where I can build UIs without having to write a bunch of code, and I have all the data context at my fingertips. So to see what it feels like, Kirsten is going to go ahead and pull in the drop-down component. And then again, with all that data context at his fingertips, he can browse the Cloud API to find the property we're looking for. Once he's found that, all the code to interact with that property has been wired up for us. So if we switch back to my view of the screen, we can see it's already there, fully functional, live. It's even populated with the correct choices.
So this seems to be simple, right? It's 3 clicks. It's 3 clicks. But behind the scene, to make that happening, you need 18 years of experience of Fiona. You need an entire team. You don't know how difficult it is to put the brightest mind together and have them working on something super complex. Everybody has an idea and so on. Fiona, how was this project? How exciting and frustrating has been working on this project for the last few months?
It has been thrilling to work with so many great developers, and certainly a lot of opinions, but that's also what makes things great.
OK, so let's move forward. To make this a little bit faster and not make this demo super long, we pre-filled a couple of information that normally in the flow you will fill up now. So the vehicle is being already pre-filled, and the driver is already pre-filled, so we can jump directly to quoting. And here we go. We get the quote. And if you scroll down, you will see a bunch of coverage. So the first thing I wanted to show you was how to expose a field that was already part of the data model. The second thing we want to do, we talked about APD, is that now imagine that you want to add a coverage. That basically is like modifying the schema on the fly, right? So we go on APD, and we're going to create a special coverage for the festivity, we call it, for Halloween. And so we create this coverage, we say, we jumped on PC, and we synchronize, basically we pull those information on PC from APD, and we go back on Kirsten's screen, that is the editor. This is another aha moment, at least for me. Like, the editor realized that there is a new entity coming up, because it's wired onto these things live directly. We internally call this also Jutro Live, just to sort of give you the sense of how quickly the changes are. So now the system is asking, is offering, should I sync? Should I sync this entity into my structure? And so Kirsten will sync the entity, and then he's going to come back with another suggestion. Kirsten, what's happening next?
Yeah, so because Studio is configuration-based and live, AI knows everything about your app. And so it detected the change for the Halloween configuration. Now, AI just doesn't suggest what's going to happen. It can actually apply these as well. So what's going to happen when I click on this, it's going to import the coverage. It's going to find similar pages that have coverages on them, and it's going to apply them to the UI, like magic.
So in reality, you will validate that this suggestion is what you want to do and so on. But here, we accept directly the suggestion. We switch back to Fiona's screen. And as you will see, we're on the quote page. And on the same quote page, she needs to go back and move forward to sort of show you this change. And when you scroll down, you will see, we should have seen, this is the first time that
Didn't work.
It didn't work.
OK.
We're going to redo it. You know, those demos are the typical things that you do it a million times, they always work, and then when you do it on stage, it's kind of an extra glitch.
I have it on mine.
Here we go.
Click
Here we
too
go.
fast.
Woo! Woo! OK, so it's live, but it takes a little bit of second. You know, when you do those demos and so on, when you move something that takes months to minutes, then people get really attached to, oh, but now it needs to be second. And when it's second, you sort of, oh, but it is 3 seconds. You need to make it immediate. So it's pretty amazing. So again, quote page, Halloween. Now, if we would have synchronized this APD new structure, you saw APD, we added a coverage. And if we would have brought back here David, and Piotr, we will have synchronized this new structure with pricing center. We will have opened up the pricing modeling, and we will have created new rules and a new pricing rules to sort of define an extra multiplier or whatever factor for adding this. Now, this will take definitely too long. So this field is here, is visible, but is not impacting any way the quote. So, last things. Exposing a field, modifying the data schema. The last thing is digital is about experience. Digital is about different channel. Digital is about, conceptually, is about the same logic, but flavored differently, structured in a slightly different way, and visualized in a slightly different way. So how do we do that with Jutro Studio? We do it with the concept of theme. So we jump back on Kirsten's screen. You will see that we have default theme. It's called Standard Enterprise. And then we create also a Purple Enterprise. And to have some fun, we create also an Halloween theme, right? So while Kirsten is going to swap that, we go back on Fiona's screen and see you this directly live, what is going to happen on Fiona's screen. So first, it's going to change into what we call purple. It's pretty simple. It's changing the color, a few things. But you can imagine behind this change anything that you want to do, like easy stuff, basic stuff. But let's have a little bit more fun. Let's change it into an Halloween theme. That is going to kind of completely change. Our UX team has done an amazing work. I kid you not. We had some feedback during this, validating this demo, then some folks thought that we were going to ship this. So we could. If you guys are going to ask this, and if you want to enter into a kind of world of insurance into which only for Halloween you can change all that, we can do it. But beside the jokes, this is fully wired. During this entire change, this is fully wired. If you scroll down, you will see the vandalism coverage is there, and we can totally quote. So let's do the step to buy this policy and bind this policy to see if it will generate. Told you it's fully themed. So here you have the policy number. We could jump back on Policy Center and show you the policy number, but trust me, this is the policy number coming from Policy Center. So last thing, I want to close on Jutro Studio. So Jutro Studio is becoming available. It's becoming available in the pre-release or in the spring release. We think it's going to completely change the speed of your implementation. We think it's going to add a level of agility and a flexibility that you never had before, because you can create, as I said, multiple experience in a very quick way. But most important, and Fiona touched upon, is the dev familiarity. If you are familiar with what happened in the airline industry when they bring a new plane, a key aspect is that new plane does not change anything from a pilot. You don't need to retrain the pilot. The pilot knows how to fly the plane. There is a new aircraft coming, and the pilot goes in, and he knows how to fly it. So we think Jutro Studio is exactly that. We think that within a week, all our ecosystem of engineers and our community of engineers will learn how to use that. Now, it's not available yet. It's in the pre-release. But Fiona, Kirsten, Julie, and Cooper are going to be at the booth. The application is up and running. You can ask all the questions possible. And if you really want to make Cooper happy, you can ask him about multi-tab, because he's the person that made multi-tab happening, what Christina was talking about before. All that functionality was many sleepless nights from Cooper. Thank you, guys. This was awesome. OK, so to wrap this up, we're talking about GenAI service available in Olos, your capability to start to have, in EA, you start to have the capability to build different agents with Agent Studio. We are offering and bringing faster migration to enable a report at any given moment in time for our customer running Insurance Suite 10. APD conversion is critical to open up adoption and modernizing your implementation. Simpler development with Alpine mode. And last but not least, Jutro Studio. All that is what the dessert brought you. And now to really finish the meal, I'll bring back on stage Mike Rosenbaum.
We showed you a lot. I want to stress something, though, that Diego said at the end. Okay, I'm not going to recap everything. I want to use the word continuity and think about his analogy with respect to flying planes. Okay, this company, our company, and our commitment to our customer base is very real. Okay, we are 100% committed to ensuring that everybody does get to cloud. Everybody does make it, okay? And so when you think about, like, we showed you all this cool stuff, one of the best pieces of software engineering that we did related to giving you an environment to facilitate your ability to check your code base against cloud, okay? That is our commitment to continuity. And the other thing, unrelated to new functionality, is APD adoption. Raise your hand if you've given me personal feedback about, hey, Mike, you need to make it easier for us to get to APD, okay? Incredibly great software engineering went into this mechanism to take something that used to take 12 months and used to be an effective rewrite of your policy, of your product model, and now gets you to APD. So I hope you see that. I hope and I implore you to take us up on the opportunity to learn how these tools work and chart a path to the future. We're super, super excited about where we're going with cloud, where we're going with digital, and where we're going with AI. I hope you're motivated too, and I hope you all have a great week at Connections. So thank you very much.